Alright, MA Marignon, turn 32. I think we have a fake storm this turn. Okay, yeah, we're just taking this from Nabar. And yeah, there's some PD here actually, but I think we'll be fine. Yeah, the heavy cav's gone, that's what matters. We do have a paladin with this group, right? Oh no, we have a friar. Yeah, so this was actually a little bit scary because, you know, light cav have bows, but it does work out for us. So yeah, no losses, so friar can work, but it does make things a little scarier, right? And then I think this is us clearing out the earth elementals, yeah. And the earth gnomes we don't need to worry about, but the earth elemental, I think he's a smaller one. Oops, that's a knight. Yeah, there he goes. So size 6 can be a little rough, although, you know, with these kind of numbers, you'd need more than one size 6 to be dangerous. And then I think we were just doing some raiding. I may have forgotten to mention this last turn, but we're just taking some initiates. They're going to make some lesser fire elementals. And we may lose this. Lesser fire elementals definitely are not as good. And yeah, we don't love arrow fire. So we should get one more lesser fire elemental. And then of course, if our other caster dies, we have no commanders and we'll lose. 2 lesser fire elementals though might be enough to deal with this, right? Because they're ethereal. So, and there's really no magic weapons here. So I think we're going to come away with this. The giant commander is kind of the wild card, although, yeah, I think we're going to HP route him. No, maybe not. Okay, yeah. So does work out, though, you know, that costs us like 4 gems and an initiate. So I don't know. It does help increase the pressure on Ashdod, so hopefully we'll keep him off our back. And then we retake the province that he'd taken, so I guess he chose to leave no PD there. We're taking Snowford here. I think this is some of our own territory that Mictlan had taken. Yeah, right. These are halberdiers. And yeah, not, I think it's 6 PD probably and some birds. But again, like the birds, when they're up against like an actual force, they're not really going to do much. Halberdiers against barbarians is not like a fantastic matchup, right? It's just going to be kind of a melee grind. But, you know, we have the numbers, so it works out for us. I don't think we take too many losses. Yeah, just three losses. Totally acceptable. Oh boy, and then this could be a big one. So battle in Nazca, not between us, but it's between Ashdod. Yeah, so we brought out a bunch of his sacreds, and looks like just some priests to bless them. No mage support, really, like, whatsoever. Okay, I guess he's got this guy, an add-on. And he's unkitted, so I'm assuming he's here for caster support. These guys definitely can be used as super combatants. And then he's got a bunch of these archers who have these great bows, and they're giants. Like, they're actually really cool archers. They're really expensive. Yeah, I think he's got some starvation here. Quite a bit of, well, okay, maybe not too much starvation. Well, some starvation, which, you know, could be relevant, depending. And then, like, yeah, Phlegra chose to hang out. You know, we talked through this army before, whereas there's some fellow, I'm not sure where he's hiding, but, you know, he's got the champion's trident. And then, of course, you know, there's suns out, buns out. He could be a factor. However, there's a good chance that those guys, yeah, especially since at least some of them seem to be hanging out. I'm pretty sure this is him in here, yeah, because he's got the luck, but it looks like he's buffing himself maybe, or like on hold and attack. Yeah, so he's trying to buff himself up. So yep, totally acceptable, like makes sense. Those are good spells to be casting. It's kind of unfortunate. Are these guys undisciplined? No. So he chose to just send the axemen in immediately, and I think they're gonna get kind of slaughtered, and then there's a good chance that these guys won't, you know, get time to move up and actually engage. So the Axemen are going to do like okay against the archers, right? Like the archers I don't think are great in melee, although they do have really good protection for archers. You know, they have a short sword and it's, you know, wielded by a giant, so like they're no slouches in melee. But you know, once they cut through the archers, well, you know, then it's the Anakites. And then the Healit Axe Warriors I think are not going to do nearly as well. Okay, here's our champion's trident friend. So he's stacked up against an Anakite. So let's see if he can actually, like, there you go, he just killed an Anakite. So like he's going to be killing Anakites. That's going to be good. And yeah, here's the Bronze Colossus. And he's fairly high on fatigue, although I think the Wraith Sword will help with that. Yes, it will drain fatigue as well. So assuming he can actually connect, which, you know, at 13 attack, like what's he up against, right? 15 defense, so he should connect from time to time, but it's not going to be trivial for him to connect. But our fellow with luck, I think, is doing quite good, doing quite a bit of work here. I think regardless of who wins this, you know, this is really good news for us. This is looking costly. I think at minimum, Ashdod is going to lose most, if not all, of their archers. And, you know, the surround is starting to happen, right? Okay, this guy's going, I guess he's maybe set to attack rear, which, like, sure. The commanders could be a problem. Okay, so he's got, yeah, the add-on. He's a pretty tanky commander, so it's unlikely that he's going to lose all of his commanders, but... yeah, like enough damage being dealt. You know, you can see the blood bond, right, is spreading out the damage, but there's no protection buffs on these guys, right? Protection 16. You know, I gotta say, like, I didn't think these Heal It Axe Warriors could do it, but they kind of are doing it. You know, they're only getting chip damage. Here you go. So there's some routes here. But it does look like he has them in at least a couple different squads, which is very cool, right? So some of them are routing, but there's other squads that are still fighting. And, like, well, this is probably not the most efficient way to take out Anakites. It is working. I don't know if he's going to come away with it, but, like, these Heal It Warriors are way easier for him to replace. Like the Giganti Warriors, it's a little sadder to lose those, but like, yeah, for all these Anakites that he's getting, like this is great value. I think is this our Trident friend? Oh, this is a different thug. Okay, nice. He's got his prophet out here. Not sure what happened to our Trident friend. He might have actually died. Yeah, so, and of course, it looks like mostly it's routed on maybe both sides, but there is quite a bit of berserkers, right? So, yeah, we have like, what, one guy that's berserk, so armies of Ashdod are routed, and I think that's it. So, yeah, I think Phlegra comes away with it. It looked like it was a very bloody battle, you know, which is usually the sort you want for your neighbors. Yeah, so let's see. That's 37 Anakites that were killed, and that's really the most important thing. Although, the archers, right, 40 gold apiece, loses 23 of those. Nothing to sneeze at. You know, the Kohens, not that big of a deal, just priests. The add-on does escape. A few other things escape. And of course, it's, not without cost for Phlegra. But, I mean, if you look at it, like, these Heal It Warriors, like, they're only 8 gold. So, like, yeah, he loses almost 200 of them. That's significant, definitely. But they're pretty easy to replace, right? Like, resource cost is not high. Recruitment point cost is super low, right? So he can pop out a ton more of these Axe Warriors. He does lose, 6 Giganti Warriors who are expensive. Quite expensive, actually, but that's not too many. And then otherwise, like, he doesn't really lose anything in terms of like mages or commanders. So yeah, I would say that's a good win for Phlegra, if maybe a little on the painful side, and definitely really good news for us. And then we get attacked in Rotmarsh. I think this is our fort that's going to get knocked down. Oh no, okay, cool. He decided to raid away, and then yeah, we actually have a ton of PD here due to an event, which is a little sad because it's Jaguar PD, and yeah, let's see, he's got 2 guys now. That's cool. So they're doing 1 square buffs, like, yeah, Body Ethereal probably coming from his monkey friend back here, and like Moss Body, and his protection is still kind of low. He's got quite a bit of earth. You think like Iron Warriors or so. Oh, I guess this guy's got no armor. Does this guy have armor? Yeah, there you go. Protection 32. So, yeah, these guys are going to be pretty nasty, like, except for the fact that the magic resistance is not that high. And, with Earth and Astral, like, there's definitely things he can do, to help that. So, yeah, this could get kind of annoying with these thugs. And, like, yeah, this guy's got a little bit of fire resistance. This guy's Recall, yeah, has a bunch of fire resistance. So, like, he's doing a lot of, like, good things. But, this is a fair amount of commitment. It's a fairly heavy raid in some ways. Not a lot of units, but a lot of mages. But, yeah, they're going to chew up our poor slingers really effectively. It looks like an attack rear there, which, doesn't really too much matter in this case. But definitely useful to note if we do decide to kill these guys. Probably good that they went here. I actually did teleport out, because I said there's nothing we can do to prevent our fort from getting knocked down. But then I remembered, wait, we have teleport. So I teleported out a Grandmaster with the plan of like soul slaying fellows, but not sure he would have been able to soul slay both of them, probably. But yeah, so anyway, we lose Rotmarsh. That's used to be his swamp. We may lose this to Yis, so that's a little sad because it's on the Yis border. So he may raid this away before we get a chance to. So yeah, we're gonna have to deal with these guys. And then there's a battle at the Fortress of Mictlan. This is us just poking our head in with the Barbarian Chief, just sending them in. Yeah, probably should have just gone in. I don't know. This is a lot of mages. So, you know, like, yeah, and they're going to be doing, like, Thunderstrike. Actually, I should probably... Who are the guys? Let's see. High Priest of the Sky. Those are the ones. Everybody else probably doesn't really matter. So we can see the Quaddle. Yeah, he can also do... Ooh, I think this might be a hero. Or maybe a god. No, wait. We killed the god. Okay. Ooh, who is this guy? He's undead. Nice. Looks like maybe another hero. This guy would be really useful later on. He's the one who's been doing the reanimation. So anyway, yeah, a decent amount of mage support, like no chaff really. We might go in or we might wait one more turn to bring like a critical mass of knights. Because I am a little bit worried, you know, about taking... We have like 20 knights. So like Thunderstrike could be a problem. So let's see. We got... Yeah, 7 High Priests of the Sky, right? So it's going to be 7 Thunderstrikes a turn. And, you know, you can probably keep that up for like 3 or 4 rounds before they fatigue out. So, you know, we're looking at like possibly like 21 or more Thunderstrikes, you know, going up against 20 of our knights. It's like a Thunderstrike per knight. I mean, you know, they're going to miss. And we have other stuff, so like I'm sure we could take it, but it might be worth waiting for our knight, for the rest of our knights, you know, get like 40 knights. So we'll see. I have to think on that one. And then unexpected events. Yes, this fertility cult. Yeah, I don't know. Fertility cults aren't the worst thing, so we'll see. Maybe we'll send an army or, you know, try to preach it away. The volcano has stirred. Okay, that's not good. We do like this volcano. It's giving us a bunch of fire gems, but I think we're going to get attacked. And then, yeah, we lose. This is a lot of province income. This really does hurt. You know, it's one of the downsides of misfortune. And then let's take a look at these volcano creatures that are attacking us. Fiery imps? Nope. Just, what are these, magma children? Yeah, magma children. I don't think our PD is going to be able to handle... Ooh, we must have PD dumped at some point in this location for reasons. We might actually come away with this. Magma children are super killy, but they don't really have much, in the way of protection. So, like, yeah, you can just cut them down. So this is a little painful, except for the fact that it's our PD. And, like, yeah, I mean, it's just going to come back. So we're under siege in a place. This is probably... I'm actually not sure where this is. We'll have to take a look. And then, of course, yeah, we have Mictlan broken open, so we may storm there. And then this was our fellow who teleported in. And then we got Evocation 3 headed on to 4. And, of course, we're looking for Evocation 5 to drop rocks on those Anakites. So, yeah, I'll see you guys after the cut. All right, so this is the situation and what we're doing about it. This is the fort that's under siege. Couldn't remember where this was. So, yeah, it looks like Ashdod chose to just backtrack. Which, like, yeah, it feels like a bit of a waste of time, but I mean, you know, hey, I've backtracked. It happens to us all. So not too worried about this, right? It's going to take a while for them to knock down the walls. It's not impossible that he brings up reinforcements, and, you know, I haven't worked it out. You know, I mean, we're losing a decent amount of integrity every turn, definitely, so we don't have too many turns. But we are, like, bringing up, so this is the guys that cleaned out the earth gnomes and everything. They're headed back to the capital. There's not a ton in the capital, but, you know, we're recruiting some more sacreds. And research-wise, you know, we have, like, roughly 2 turns. So, because we're going to need to get from Evocation 4 to 5, so 700 research points, roughly speaking. And so 2 turns we should have, you know, our rocks to drop on them. And, you know, we'll be able to collect. We're recruiting some halberdiers here. We are cutting a mage, and we're cutting a mage here as well. So not great there. That is mostly because we're building a temple here, right, for our lizards. Our palisade is going to be done next turn, so that's good news. You know, we'll be safe here, and hopefully we'll start to get our lizard shamans. And then we're recruiting more halberdiers over here, right? So we should have a good amount of halberdiers, and I think they're going to do decently well. I mean, we just saw how the Helit Axe Warriors, like, did okay against the Anakites. So I think, between our knights, the rocks, and our halberdiers, also it's cheaper to drop rocks on our halberdiers rather than knights. So anyway, this isn't like that many Anakites, and like hopefully, we'll be able to collect all of our stuff and, get there before we lose the fort. Sadly, this guy is stranded. We're not actually gaining income from this since he backtracked and sieged this fort. So this raid, was kind of questionable, but, it's fine. And then we're just going to send these guys back. They captured the undefended province, so they're just going to go research. And then our group of halberdiers are hopefully going to, join up with the force I was just talking about. We could send them north to maybe try to raid, but Ashdod's obviously going to be recruiting in their capital, probably have been recruiting in their capital. Now, they may need to send that immediately over to Nazca, but there is this stack, of Anakites here. They might be unled, but this priest might come pick them up. I just don't think there's that many places that, like, our halberdiers could raid before they get wiped out, so, like, better to just combine them with the army. And then we are sending our group of knights back to Mictlan, mostly to be used probably eventually against Bandar, because we are storming this turn. I think, it's going to be a little rough. We don't have that many, right? These are all the knights that we have. We're going to send 12 of them in immediately. They are probably going to get wiped out by Thunderstrike, but, we kind of just need them to take the pressure off our crossbowmen. I think we have enough different groups of crossbowmen here that, like, there's a good chance that one of these guys is going to pick that mage ball in the back, because they're not going to be very well protected. And we just need a few volleys of crossbow shots to land back there, and they're in big trouble. So as long as not everybody targets the wall archers, I think this is going to go pretty well for us. If it doesn't, like, we have this other group of knights, like, on hold and attack rear, right? So they're just, in the back, just in case for air elementals to kind of cover our, command staff and our mages. It didn't look like he handed out any air gems, but, that might change. And then also, by the time these guys go in, there's a good chance that the mages will have exhausted themselves, like thunder striking our crossbowmen and the first group of knights that went in. So we're going to lose some knights. It would be nicer to have more stuff, but I think, we need to get moving. I don't want to wait too long on this. Storming with mostly archers is not recommended, but I think in this case it'll be fine. Fingers crossed. And then, of course, this is where the, Bandar thug group is, so we're, just sending some scouts down there to try to keep an eye on them. They'll probably, take this back. This would probably be the province. Is fairly valuable, and it's on the border with Yis, so extra annoying, because we may lose this to Yis eventually. We may have to tangle with Yis a little bit. I don't have a non-aggression pact with them, and I probably need to reach out to them diplomatically, because we're probably going to be racing them for Bandar's capital in the not too distant future. And then we see that Arco is now sieging their own capital back. We are going to clean out these independents, which are in Arco's cap circle, so this is an aggressive move, definitely, but I'm just going to wait until Arco reaches out, and, like, we'll see. We want to attack Arco, basically, because, especially since Bandar is our problem, it's like, this is a relatively undefended capital, then there's Bandar here, and then I'm pretty sure this is Nabah's capital, right? It doesn't say it, but I'll have to go back and look. So, that's like a good amount of capitals in this, like, small little area here, and, like, would connect fairly well with the rest of our territory and isn't too far away from, like, a lot of our production centers. So, like, I think this is much more like the war that we're interested in. And, like, the Ashdod, like, we may not even send, like, everything against Ashdod. Like, we'll see. But I think, like, we may use this army to kind of march south and take this throne and then take Arco and, like, keep Bandar busy. Haven't really fully decided. Like, we'll see. It really depends. Like, Ashdod, like, may just pull out because, they're going to have other problems. I talked with Ariu. They actually had not seen the battle on top of Nazca. And if I was interested in getting, like, more of Ashdod's territory, I might not immediately volunteer that information. But, like I said, I don't know. We could go after Ashdod, and I think we'd be in decent shape, but I just think that, like, this stuff is way more attractive, and we're going to have to... Bandar is going to keep messing with us, right? So we need to deal with Bandar, and so, yeah, I just think this makes a lot more sense. So I sent him a screenshot of it, and let him know that, Ashdod is in trouble. And he said he's already got, I think, like 3 raiding groups in Ashdod's territory. So like he's getting ready to go. But he still has problems or Uruk problems. So he said he has an answer to it finally. So to the Uruk's pretender. So we're gonna send our scout in there and try to catch that. Their pretender might be in here. I can't remember. So we're gonna catch the battle on the capital. So we'll see that. And just chatting with Eru just about the game state at large. It sounds like Jotunheim and Agartha are fighting, which I had heard from Jotunheim. And Eru is saying that that's pretty much stalled. It's a bit of a stalemate. And then of course this war is ongoing, which Eru also knows about. It sounds like Man is just setting up infrastructure, basically consolidating their gains. And then we haven't really seen it, but apparently Asphodel is like pretty large, so like they must be somewhere in here. And then Asphodel also has Mother Oak up, so yeah, Asphodel is kind of considered one of like a weaker nation because they're pop kill, but they want to use some like mages that require gold, so it can be a bit awkward. But yeah, I mean, they're kind of like Pangaea, and Pangaea is a very strong nation. So kind of cool to hear that Asphodel is doing better, but could be a bit of an issue. I mean, they are pop kills, so we may have to deal with that at some point. But not for a good amount of time yet. And yeah, I think that covers turn 32. All right, MA Marignon, turn 33. I believe we have a capital storm this turn. Oh, we caught quite a few battles. We're being attacked by Ashdod. Fantastic. We've finished research and evocation. Right, we're going for our rocks. We should have that in a few turns, so that's good. So yeah, and we missed with our site searching. Classic. Let's take a look at Man clearing out some independence. I wonder if this is maybe a throne. Yeah, this is looking kind of like a throne. So it looks like enchantresses. Quite a few gems. Only in Nature 2 though. Not too scary. Yeah, this is also only in Nature 2, so maybe like lesser elementals, some bugs. There's an Etten here, which they're not that good, and this is like mostly Wolf Tribe, which can be a little scary, in these numbers, and Vine Ogres, but as far as thrones go, not too scary. This is an interesting force, so this is one of Man's heroes who's been fully kitted out. He's the Etten King. I think he even comes with a retinue, and it looks like he is a hero as well. Heroic toughness, increased number of hit points. That's probably a good thing. He already has quite a few hit points. And yeah, he's full gear, Berserker Pelt, little interesting. Whip of Command, that's interesting as well. I mean, I guess it's magic damage. I have to say, I'm not a huge fan of this hero. He's undisciplined, which is rough, and then he's stupid, so sometimes they do nothing or like even attack an ally, so it can be a little bit difficult to use that guy. And then he's got some casters here, so it looks like he's found some of the dog-headed fellows, which is cool. It's going to give him access to some paths of magic that he doesn't normally have. And then, yeah, just some of his relatively normal casters here with no gems. And then just a few Knights of Avalon. So this is not a lot of stuff here from Man. Very curious to see how this works out. Like, what is this guy's protection at? Yeah, only 17. Wolf Tribe don't do a ton of damage, but 17 protection, that's not, it is at least pierce damage, right? So it's going to reduce that armor value a little bit. So they're not going to be getting a ton of damage with the amount of attacks they have. Now the Vine Ogres, it looks like the majority of it are just ignoring him, and so it's just the archers going after him. And the archers are going to do significantly worse, but pretty much everybody else is probably going to get eliminated. It looks like, yeah, the casters are retreating, so they were just here to do a little bit of buffing. This was probably an attack rear attempt that looks like it has not worked out. And they're getting hit with Panic, which is, yeah, a classic for, Nature 2 casters. They love spamming that. The Sleep Cloud has disappeared, and let's take a look. This guy does regenerate, right? And he has a lot of hit points, so in that sense, like, he's going to be fairly difficult to take down. And, if the casters just keep spamming Panic, although there's a decent chance. Is he a Berserker? Right, he has the Berserker Pelt. So he has gone Berserk. I was going to say, like, routing is going to be a serious problem here for Man. Yeah, like, these Knights of Avalon have routed. Panic actually doing, like, pretty solid work there. Morale, yeah, normally 14. been reduced greatly. So this is a situation where, like, yeah, panic, like, maybe. Although, again, against the Berserker, not going to be so useful. So while he is taking a good amount of damage, right, he is regenerating at a decent clip. Oh, yeah, no. So, and he's been put to sleep. So, you know, this is a nice attempt, but not quite able to, you know, super combatant that throne. But at the end of the day, not like that painful, right? He loses the Etten King, who's kind of a questionable hero. A lot of that gear he may have found, like the Berserker pelt seems a bit odd, the Whip of Command. I mean, he did lose a lot of gems. If some of it was probably forged, right? So there's definitely some gem loss there. You know, 4 Knights of Avalon is always a little sad. They are pretty expensive. But, you know, only 4 of them, like, that's not the end of the world. He probably does burn some gems, but otherwise the throne defenders are more or less still in place. And then, interestingly, it looks like Asphodel actually went for this same throne on the same turn, so even if Man had won, he would have... Oh, okay, Asphodel's just pinging it, so if that had succeeded, then, you know, Man would have... Wow, who knows? They might fight a war over it, but at least for the moment, he would have had it. But yeah, I'd say there's a decent chance that those two get in a tussle over that throne, and maybe even bump. And so, yeah, here we are clearing out some independence. Quite a bit of Centaur archers, actually, which is a little bit scary, right? They're stronger than normal. They have a longbow. The satyrs we're not too worried about, so we're just going to hang out and bless. Is this our friar? Oh, yeah. I think we only have the one friar. He's out in front for some reason. Really need to change the positioning on this group. I was maybe a little too lazy on that. He does have some bodyguards at least. Yeah, like I said, the satyrs we're not too worried about. The main thing is if our commander gets sniped by those longbows. But thankfully, it looks like they're mostly going for our knights, who, you know, those longbows are dangerous, definitely. But, you know, chip damage, I think, at most, and, you know, we should have the skills, yeah, to clean these guys out. So this is looking good, if perhaps a little bit scary. Always a little scary when you have the friars leading those groups. And then it looks like we caught a breakout attempt in Uruk against Ariu, and it looks like it's only the Pretender. Let's see, no new kit. Same kit, I think, has been the case. But again, no... Not contested. So yeah, these guys have been dancing around each other for a little while. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, if this carries on. And then we get attacked by Ashdod here. I don't think this is contested. Yeah, I think this is just, yeah, where our poor initiate got stranded. He has no gems left. So, you know, this looks like the group of giants that was sieging our fort, so maybe our fort is unlocked, or maybe this is another group of giants from the capital. But, like, yeah, you know, I mean, this, you know, you got to respect this amount of Anakites, but even if this is reinforcements, like, we can handle this, I think, especially with the rocks. And then, of course, Bandar. So this is probably Bandar's thugs, excuse me, and Fluffer pals. They're point buffers. Fairly expensive point buffer there, I think. We do have 6 PD in this province. That's a little sad. But, you know, what happened here? This guy looks like maybe he's been set to retreat. Yeah, that seems like it's... I mean, I guess maybe he was using him for point buffing as well. He didn't have any gear, whereas, like, this guy has gear. And now the priest is going in. Yeah, definitely, you know, I mean, hey, I have scripting issues all the time, but this definitely feels like a scripting issue, because, yeah, that priest is not going to do so hot. But, you know, I mean, his thug, like, that worked out. Like, that part was okay. So, you know, works out for him, but a little sad to lose the priest, because I don't think he really needed to lose it. Now, of course, the main event, at least for me, is our storm in Mictlan. So, of course, we have our group of knights that's going to go in immediately. You know, we have a bunch of different groups of crossbows, which increases the likelihood that somebody gets, you know, that somebody chooses to target the back line. And yeah, it looks like, you know, a little bit of skeleton summoning and like a sparse line. Like, yeah, that's cool. You know, he doesn't have that much chaff, right? So the sparse line just helps to make sure that things get caught. Hopefully the slingers do not target our casters. So yeah, there goes the crossbow bolts, and like, yeah, you can see. So some groups chose to target the back, and then there goes our knights. They're going to make very short work of those skeletons. I think the guy who's probably supposed to cast Storm was killed. There's Solar Eclipse. That was a Shadow Blast. We don't like that. We get our flaming arrows up. Yeah, and there's the shock damage. Not sure why these guys are, you know, taking their sweet time. I guess they are busy killing skeletons. I think these guys are on attack closest. We were worried about air elementals, and like, yeah, this hurts, right? We lose a lot of knights. We basically lose that entire knight squad. In fact, yeah, I think they've routed. And now, unfortunately, a lot of our guys are going for the wall archers. Looks like maybe these guys were set to attack rear. Not sure what happened there. No, they're set to attack closest. So this is actually maybe not looking like scary, but definitely, highlights the issues of archers. It was great that we got like that first volley. Not really sure why they chose to stop targeting. Yeah, okay, now they're going for the back line again, but they've probably gotten, air shield up. So that's going to help like significantly. And of course, we've put up solar eclipse, which is maybe questionable. It's going to reduce their accuracy, right? His caster's accuracy. It also reduces our crossbowman's accuracy, but like we have a lot more crossbow fire, so our crossbows aren't very accurate anyway. So I figured, there's a lot fewer thunder strikes coming down. So better that they miss. Like if our crossbow bolts are a little more wild than normal, I don't think we'll be able to even tell. So yeah, that was a bit painful. We lose 15 Knights of the Chalice, we lose a Caveman Champion. That's actually a good thing. But there's a considerable amount of mages here. Obviously, like, shock damage was kind of one of the problems. I think the swiftness did help, right? We got in there pretty fast. I think, if I just had more knights, I think we could have overwhelmed that and it would have been a lot less painful. Maybe splitting the knights was a mistake, but I was very worried about air elementals, getting into the back. And the knights are really the main guys that are going to be able to handle that. At least with flaming arrows, the crossbowmen do get some magic damage, so maybe I didn't need them. But anyway, it still worked out. We didn't lose any casters, which is really nice. And I think that leaves Mictlan with just one fort. Yeah, there's no elimination here. And then there's a battle in Nazca, okay, between Phlegra and Ashdod. And okay, this is a storm. Nice. There's not a whole lot left here, though I do approve of like just sending in the thugs for the storm rather than the full army. Although I think that might just be there isn't too much left of the army. But perhaps he is of the same school about like trying to send in some thugs. This is kind of interesting. So like Ashdod gets a mix of these giant archers who are quite dangerous, as well as like human slingers, considerably less dangerous as their wall archers. But I think even the giant archers aren't really going to do a whole lot, at least, not to the Bronze Colossus. Probably not a whole lot to this Tyrant either. So they're just going through the rebuff cycle. We'll take them a second. There is a few Anakites. Yeah, a couple Anakites in here, a few casters. Yeah, these Sages are decently scary. I think they get like a linked random. Yeah, so they're 2 in like various paths. Like, some body ethereal spam, and then here's an add-on, which can be a pretty nasty super combatant, although, no gear here, and he has mostly put himself to sleep with his spell casting. He's just spamming body ethereal, so I'm assuming this is unscripted. Maybe not. Maybe the player wanted him to participate in like sort of a buff cycle. And yeah, I think the Bronze Colossus is flying to the back, flying to the walls. And it looks like he's just set to maybe advance and cast spells, because it looks like he just cast, Shockwave. So that's cool. Like, Shockwave is a really dangerous spell. It could cause like fatigue problems. Sad that, he's not set to jump to the back, because I think, trying to get rid of these casters, like the casters are realistically the most dangerous thing, the thing that's most likely, to kill his units. I guess, that you can never completely discount Anakites, but, I do think... Yeah, and the Bronze Colossus casting spells, these guys do have pretty good shock resistance, right? Like, shock resistance 20. I'm actually kind of surprised that he's casting it. It must just be because the wall archers, right, have no shock resistance. So it might actually be better for the Bronze Colossus, just set to attack. Although these guys have pretty good defense skill too. Like Ashdod does have a pretty strong bless. Although, this guy, he was asleep. Somebody was asleep. So we'll see. The etherealness doesn't really matter because like everybody on Phlegra's side has magic weapons or is using like shock damage, which is definitely considered magic. Yeah. So he's able to kill 1 Anakite, maybe 2 Anakites, and now he gets into the back. Not sure where the add-on went. I think they got the kill on that, and like they're able to clean that out pretty well. So that's kind of expensive for Ashdod and the capital that they lose. So very nicely done on Phlegra's part. And here I was fearing for Phlegra's life, but they're doing better than I am against Ashdod. So like, that's a very expensive loss for Ashdod, right? These Sages are not cheap. The add-on is extremely expensive. Otherwise like not too much stuff, but considering it was free for Phlegra. Definitely take that battle. And then of course some unexpected events. Nature gems, very nice. Dominion change, that's unfortunate. This looks like it's on the border too. We're having a bit of Dominion problems out there, but you know, it is what it is. And then we finish the fortress. I think this is on top of the throne. And then we finish the palisade. This is in the Lizard Shaman province. So yeah, I'll see you guys after the cut. Alright, so this is the situation and what we're doing about it. A couple of interesting things this turn. We can see that Ariu has jumped in, right, and started raiding Ashdod, and then of course, you know, Ashdod took this major loss. Maybe not major loss, but anytime you lose a capital, that is pretty significant, and our fort did indeed get unlocked, right? So he went back and raided this with his Anakites. Now, he may decide to move back on top of my fort, but I don't know. Like, I just don't understand why, but I have not understood a lot of this Ashdod player's, you know, movements. So we're taking our reinforcements elsewhere. We're just hoping that, you know, Ashdod leaves us alone. We are sending these halberdiers up to do some raiding. We'll probably take this province. We may try to combine with something to knock out these barbarians. I do think that these Anakites are unled. But even unled Anakites, we're going to need more than, like, you know, 30 halberdiers, although they won't get blessed, which is pretty important. So maybe actually 30 halberdiers, maybe could do it, because they won't be regenerating. Unless, of course, there's a priest in the PD, which is not impossible, I think. So anyway, we're going to hopefully put this Ashdod situation on pause. I'm hoping to pick up these 3 provinces. You know, I talked with Ariu, and, you know, they were fairly receptive to that, you know, and I said, hey, you can have the rest of Ashdod as far as I'm concerned. You know, I'm not really looking to get tangled in that, because, you know, we're looking at getting tangled up in this. So we can see Arcocephali still has their capital under siege. Of course, we took this province this turn, which is a pretty hostile move, right, because of their cap circle. So kind of declaring that, like, well, we're interested in coming in, but, you know, considering that looks like they're getting eaten by Asphodel, right? Asphodel also sees this situation, right, and is eating from the other direction. And, you know, Asphodel is a pop kill nation and also seem to be relatively powerful. They have, you know, I mean, in this game, that is, right, they have Mother Oak up. They have the only global currently. So, you know, they're doing decently well, and we definitely do not want them in the neighborhood. We also see Phasia down here. Not actually sure where Phasia's capital is. Sometimes they get an island start, although, yeah, there's no islands here, so they're probably somewhere on the coast. They can do a lot of sailing. A very interesting nation. Not sure how powerful they are, but, you know, they at least have a fort here, so they definitely have some presence. All of this to say, like, you know, I've talked about how I want Arcocephali. There's a throne here. You know, we know about the Bandar situation, so, you know, we're kind of massing, like, everything that we have here, a lot of which we were planning on sending against Ashdod. So, you know, we like 30 knights, that's significant. Quite a few halberdiers, like what, probably, you know, 40-ish halberdiers, and then we're recruiting some more crossbowmen, so we should end up with like 30 or 40 crossbowmen, which is not a ton, but probably roughly, I'd say like maybe 50 to 60. I'm not really sure the right number, because I do want enough crossbowmen to force an answer, but at this point, I think it's a little irresponsible to rely on crossbowmen, because, you know, there could be Aerofend coming out. Now, that said, Asphodel, I don't think really gets much, if any, air. Phasia does. I don't think Bandar gets a ton of air. So, like, crossbowmen will still be useful against some targets, but, you know, like I said, it is kind of time, I think, to start transitioning somewhat out of crossbowmen, but it will still be useful, you know, to have a crossbowman component, you know, especially that first volley before buffs get up. You know, we saw how that can snipe mages, and it can really play havoc with people's plans. So anyway, we're going to assemble that army this turn, and we will probably move out immediately. You know, would prefer more stuff, of course, always, forever. We're not recruiting mages in 2 of our forts again. Actually, maybe 3. No, just 2 of our forts. Actually, no, yeah, we're not recruiting anything in Mictlan this turn. So, you know, money problems, of course. That is mostly because we're building a temple here in Mictlan, right? And then we're also building a lab for our lizard shaman. We're not actually starting a fort yet. Actually, talking through that, I changed my mind. We're going to site search here, and we're going to start the fortress. The fortress, of course, takes 2 months, and, like, it's just kind of awkward to try to recruit mages while it's not a fort. So we'll start a fortress here, and then we'll site search. And then next turn, we will build a lab here, all in the name of our lizard shamans. This also means that now we can get, not here, because this fort is closer to the front, now we can get a witch hunter here, so very happy about that. We are also getting our first architects. Yeah, you know, these guys are going to take a while. We do want to start upgrading forts into citadels. Not everywhere. Citadels are pretty expensive, and obviously, like, we already, I think, have too much infrastructure. We have too much infrastructure to recruit out of, but we need more infrastructure for, like, certain mages, and also just to better control our territory. So we simultaneously need more infrastructure and have too much infrastructure, which is perhaps a signal that I don't know what I'm doing. But regardless, we definitely will want some citadels. I do think that upgrading capitals into citadels, you do actually get an income bonus from better forts. It's pretty minor, so I think in most cases it's not really worth it, but capitals is probably the only place, in my opinion, where that's arguably a factor. And then, of course, better defending a capital, and this could be a jumping off point for a lot of future wars, right? And citadels provide more recruitment points, so we'll be able to get more mages here more quickly. So I do think turning Mictlan into a citadel at minimum is worth it. There's always an argument for turning a throne fort into a citadel. We wouldn't mind, like, we had a bunch of citadels down here. It's a big middle finger to anybody who wants to attack us from this direction. So it's not the citadels are bad; they're just expensive. But we can't build them until we have architects, so we're going to bring in 2 architects. That'll probably be the only architects that we build, at least for a while. In terms of where we're going to take this army, we're probably going to go clear out these barbarians first, and then maybe just try to encircle Arcocephali, because we just kind of want to cut Asphodel off here. I think Arco is probably in quite a bit of trouble. Even if they are able to recapture their capital, I don't think there'll be much left. So I actually think that Asphodel is kind of the bigger danger. They're going to keep raiding forward. They get Centaur, Sacred Centaur, who are regular Centaur, all of whom are very good at raiding. This. I didn't really have a lot of scout information down here, but I feel like this has happened relatively quickly. It wasn't, that long ago that I had scouts down here. So we'll probably expect, Asphodel to push forward, like, pretty quickly, and there's a decent chance that we'll have to at least skirmish with them for some of these, like, bordering provinces. I think if I just say, hey, look, you take Nabal, like, I'll take Arcocephali, that'll probably work out, but, it all depends, so we'll see. And then depending on the situation, we may actually use this army, to help attack Bandar, right? Because that's the other big thing, is like, okay, now it is time to try to deal with Bandar. And in fairness, like, so we're gonna attack, Bandar's thug here, and this could be a little dicey. I like his scripting, right? Other than, he had his priest run forward, which is actually relevant, the fact that he dies, but a bunch of valid spells, all like turn 1 in the script, right? So turn 1, he gets this guy's protection up to 34, which is actually going to be a problem for our units to break through. And in a few script slots, maybe even the next script slot, he puts regeneration on him, which is not super significant, right? Because at 28 hit points, he's not going to regenerate that quickly. But, if we're only dealing occasional chip damage through this 34 protection, then it's kind of a big deal. So I think our Lance Charge has a chance of killing him outright, because that's the main thing that's going to be breaking through. I think the Lance Charge deals like 26 Pierce. So against like the reduced protection with some lucky DRN rolls, like if we have enough lances hitting simultaneously, we can hopefully just kill him outright. But the other thing is he's not going to have the advantage of his bless, because the priest dies here in this combat, and he's the only guy I think that can... Oh no, he could bless himself. Okay, so that could be a problem. Because the main thing, and then if this guy comes back, he survived the retreat, and he's in a neighboring province, and he could easily move him back in. So we're probably going to be facing off against this exact stack. And he might PD dump, which I actually think would probably be a mistake, because then we'd have a good chance of just HP routing him. But if he doesn't PD dump, right, then there's a decent chance that our crossbowmen are going to kill like some of these. Well, okay, the priest is already dead, but there's a good chance that they're going to kill this buffer, right? Like 9 hit points, no protection, and even this guy who is a little tankier, but still like no protection, right? He doesn't have any armor on this guy, so there's a decent chance that our opening volley, kills like a lot of the script and possibly interrupts. Now this guy has enough protection, with his armor that very unlikely to die in the initial volley of arrows, but we might get some damage in on him before he gets his protection up. And then, of course, the other big thing that we're going to attempt is Soul Slay. Now, we're only going to have like 2 Soul Slayers, I think. So, Magic Resistance 19 isn't fantastic, but is not bad either. So, it could take a second for us to pull the Soul Slay off. And we are going to do Solar Eclipse, because his defense, I think, was like 20. His skills are pretty good, but, no Dark Vision, no Spirit Sight. So that'll help our Knights connect. Ooh, boy, this Knight is... he lost both of his eyes. Ouch. Our non-blind Knights, have decent attack skill, which will be, pushed up by the Bless. And then, of course, with the darkness lowering his skills, I think, we'll get good connect. You can see, this is not looking so good. Now, of course, we do have a decent amount of strength on the Bless. So, that's going to go up considerably. Let's go ahead and take a look at some Blessed Knights. Okay, this is one of the messed up ones. Okay, yeah, this guy's he's messed up, but doesn't have any afflictions at least. So it's a 26 pierce damage lance charge. So, and especially since it's pierce damage and will reduce his protection value somewhat. I think, like I said, the lance charge has a decent chance of killing him. If the lance charge doesn't kill him, 22 slash damage, not good. That's basically going to do nothing to that guy's protection level. And I talked about how maybe my bless is a little too scattershot, right? More strength would have been really nice. I think this is a situation where we're seeing that. Now that said, he has 20 defense, so you always have the balance. There's lots of different threats, and we mostly just need to make sure that our Knights keep him busy, while our casters Soul Slay him. Now, again, this guy's going to be somewhat fatigued out from Solar Eclipse, though hopefully once he joins in the Communion, we only have 2 Communion slaves, so relatively modest boost, but we'll hopefully offload enough fatigue so that, he'll be able to get off a decent number of Soul Slays. Soul Slay is a decently fatiguing spell, right? Best case scenario, this guy can get off 5 casts of Soul Slay before, he's right at the verge of sleep, right? And of course, having, without, a communion or anything like that. And then of course, Solar Eclipse, non-trivial fatigue cost. Now this is going to be reduced somewhat, because he is, higher level than he needs to be to cast. But I'm not sure how many Soul Slays this guy is going to get out. But, we have this other fellow, and he's going to power himself up in Astral, as well as powering up the Communion slaves in Astral, which will help with the fatigue issues. And then, he's just going to Soul Slay. So, hopefully between all those elements, right, we'll be able to take them out. But there is a definite risk that we bounce off of this Thug, which would be sad and embarrassing. But it's not like the Thug is going to really be able to threaten any of our infrastructure. And so, and if we do take him out, then we should be able to recapture all of this land relatively rapidly. And then we'll have this army in position from the north. And then hopefully we'll get this army in position. It's going to take longer for it to get position in the south. So we'll probably just raid around, right, and keep him busy and keep an eye on things. I'm sure he has a ton of Tiger Riders, and considering our losses, this army is probably not strong enough anymore, to take his capital. So yeah, I think that covers the majority of it. Some of the wars that we've seen are still ongoing. Pangea is still raiding around quite a bit, although Abyssia has brought in, a lot of stuff here. Bronze Colossus is here, so it's not cracked yet, but this is Pangea's capital, so they're probably not long for this world. We're going to take a look at Menchaca's capital, see what's going on there. Not really sure what Menchaca is up to. This is the throne that got pinged by Asphodel, and that man attempted. And yeah, I think that more or less covers turn 33.